welcome to Rise and Shine Las Vegas. And yesterday's Rise and Shine was a different, literally different from our normal Rise and Shine Las Vegas. It's just because, like what I said, we're getting into the election, 2022 election, which is November 8th. So make sure you guys go out and vote. Cast your vote to the best candidate that you think will do the job for our community. And today, I have the honor to actually present another candidates running here in Las Vegas. And Colonel Mark Robertson, he serves, let me just put my eyeglasses. He serves for more than 30 years in the military. Him and his family have lived in southern Nevada for 29 years and helped hundreds of individuals and families build a more secure financial future through his financial business. Mark is running for U.S. Congress. Welcome to my show,
Thanks,
Mark.
Maria. Nice to be here.
I don't know if I'm gonna actually address you as Colonel or...
Mark is just fine.
Well, welcome to my show and thank you so much for
Thank you,
being
Maria.
here. And right on the far right here is Brandon Davis running for governor. Brandon was born into a blue-collar family of factory workers in Rockford, Illinois, but find a new home in Nevada and is committed to guiding Nevada a new path forward. Welcome, Brandon, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I am so kind of stoked that I have two good-looking men besides me. And you guys are married, right?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Yes. Oh, there you go. I'm glad.
Not to each other, but I am married.
Nice.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
What do you guys think about Rise and Shine Las Vegas idea?
I love the idea of something that a show that talks about the positive things happening. I don't think we get enough of that. I'm glad you're doing it, Maria.
I appreciate that. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, in today's mainstream media, there's agendas, there's narratives, there's a lot of negativity. So I think the way that we can have more options and more choices available for people to be able to talk about what's going on in their local communities and being able to use the technology in the more modern way to do it online, I think is amazing. So good for you guys.
Thank you. Well, you know what? I just don't want to talk about me, although I love me. But you guys are here to actually kind of like to take a position in the government. What makes you guys different from your opponent? Which is, I'm not going to talk about your opponent. I just want to start with Brandon.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, something that definitely sets me apart is the background. I haven't been, handed anything. Our families had to fight for everything that we have. Come from public schools. One of the worst school districts in the nation at the time. But my background, of fiscal responsibility, economic innovation, choice, right? I think is big, and that sets me apart from my other two competitors, because we've seen both those gentlemen and their political parties in general, not uphold individual liberties and not uphold individual freedoms and be pro-business and support choice, right? I think that's a big thing. So there's various different ways that set me apart from my two competitors.
How about you, Mark?
I'd say there's three things. I have strong ties to the community. My wife and I raised our family here in southern Nevada. I was a leader in the church. I coached Little League and soccer and basketball. I owned a business in the district, and so we have deep ties to the community. Number two would be national service. I served for 30 years in the Army.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. You're worth it. I enlisted as a private and retired as a colonel. And one of my last assignments was in the Pentagon, so I have national policy experience. I also taught at the National Defense University, and I taught finance at UNLV. I have a degree in finance and an MBA, so I know how the economy works, I know what causes inflation, and I know how to balance a budget. And then the third would be international experience. In those 30 years in the Army, I deployed to 10 different foreign countries, including the Philippines.
That's what I was going to ask when I'm reading your bio.
That's right, including the Philippines, and combat zones in Afghanistan, Kuwait, and Iraq. In fact, in Iraq, I served with my own son. My son had joined the Army, and he and I deployed to Iraq at the same time. So those are the three things. deep ties to the community, national service, and international experience.
Awesome. Well, how do you actually? I know that you, especially in military, I've been with a lot of people who was in service. One of my actually partner here at social media shows he's a veteran, U.S. Air Force retired, and you know. All the people that has been in the military, they love to continue their service through different ways.
Yes.
They help other military. They just wanna serve their community. So, how would you transition that your service in the military into the community? I know you're running for U.S. Congress, but how
Right.
would you actually extend that?
Yeah, well, I think you're right about military veterans wanting to continue their service. I've seen that as well. And one of the things at the national level is that we can do in Congress is to provide support for veterans. You know, there are many homeless in our community, and many of those homeless are veterans. One of the sad things that happens, and I know this is Rise and Shine, and we're looking for the positive.
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, we want what your
Yeah.
input. Yeah.
One of the sad things that happens almost every Thursday out at the Veteran Cemetery in Boulder City, almost every Thursday there are funeral services for veterans in our community who died, and nobody claimed their body.
Oh my God.
They died alone, and that's almost every single week. And so helping veterans is something that Congress should do, and we ought to give them the resources so they're not homeless, they're not alone, and they have opportunities.
But what in your position, running for governor, how would you? What is your platform to help the veterans?
Yeah, I mean, veterans, I've got business associates, close friends, family members that have served. And I think it's, there's multiple different ways that I think we can help, and a lot of it has to do with, getting the government out of it. But I'm a strong advocate for, supplying veterans with what they need. And we see with the VA and, various other programs out there that, they're not getting what they need. I think there's a big, huge mental health crisis with our veterans, which needs to be addressed for sure. But at the end of the day, I think it's an atrocity that somebody has, put their life on the line for us to be able to have freedom and to be able to live our lives, to come home and not get the benefits that they deserve, to not get the help and the resources that they deserve. So I'm a strong, advocate for finding ways to make them whole for sure.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, you know what? Brandon Davis is running for governor, and as you can see. The slideshow that running right here is their what do you call it now? Yard sign or poster. Mm-hmm. So you can see right here. That's where they're running, and I hope you guys put. So governor and U.S. Congress, it's all on across Nevada ballots, correct?
No, the governor's statewide, but for Congress, there are 4 different congressional districts in Nevada, and I'm running in the 1st congressional district.
Oh, okay.
And that includes Boulder City, Henderson, and the east side of Las Vegas. So I like to say I have all the fun stuff in my district. I have the dam, I have the Strip, I have Fremont Street, I have the Golden Knights and the Raiders. So I have all the fun stuff in my district.
But you will extend your hand to Summerlin, correct? Because I'm from Summerlin.
Absolutely. I will work with the other 3 members of the House of Representatives from Nevada, plus our 2 senators, to do things to help Nevada.
All right. So yeah. So okay. So there are different districts in Congress. I am not familiar with all the things. I just go vote and cast my vote. Whoever I research and think. I am a smart voter. I would say that.
Good, good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because you're sitting down here. I'm gonna vote for. Oh well, you're in. In Henderson area. But anyways, I actually when you said earlier about education, that's one of the biggest issue we have in Las Vegas right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
we are. I believe in 48 at the bottom, and what I thought always thought, but that we have all the money and the funds, but obviously we don't have all the funds.
Mm-hmm.
So what in your platforms? I believe even Congress actually. Yeah, you guys are actually the first one to actually make the legislation for funds, right? To distribute the funds, correct?
Mm.
Your position, right?
Yeah, I mean, the governor obviously can veto or approve and set budgets. The legislature determines a lot of that as well. So,
What's
yeah.
what's in your platform about that, about education?
Yeah, I mean, as a father, I've got a 5 and a 7-year-old, kindergarten and second grade. So I've experienced firsthand, the operations in this state and here in Las Vegas. And you're right. We are a last in the nation and have been for decades.
Yes.
And it's definitely time for a change. And we talk about funding. The funding is there. It's just how the funding is being spent, I think, is the biggest issue. And there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of bloat. PERS programs are out of control. I mean, I could go on. But I think what we need to talk about is, more choice, right? I'm going to keep coming back to that in my conversations. But we need to start funding students and not systems. Right now, we're funding systems. We're keeping kids locked in a zip code.
Elaborate that funding system and the children.
Yeah, the way that our current system is, again, the money technically doesn't follow the student. So if somebody in a specific zip code wants to opt out of their district or out of their zip code and go to a charter school, a micro, a private, take that money with them, they can, right? So, I'm a big advocate for education savings accounts, for voucher programs, for allowing, cities to opt out of the district. I'm a big advocate of breaking apart the Clark County School District and the Washoe County School District. I mean, the current, format that we have with 17 different school districts, one per county in the state, was created, I believe, in the 50s. And we've grown exponentially since then, and we've seen just mismanagement, misspending, and complete lack of accountability in the 5th largest school district in the nation, which is Clark County.
Yeah.
And it's got to change because we can't keep funding and expecting a different result because it's not working.
So who should we blame about the misappropriation of the funds?
Well, that's
not blame, but who is responsible? I would say I want to rephrase. Who are responsible of the misappropriation of the funds?
Yeah, I mean, it all starts at the top. I mean, I'm going to place blame on our current governor. I'm going to place blame on the legislature. I'm going to place blame on, the Superintendent Jara. I mean, the guy just got a 23% raise, like when he was just fired. Like, the school board of trustees. I mean, it's top down, and I think we need some real changes there for sure.
So how about your platform?
Yeah, Brandon and I agree on this idea of choice. I don't think that education decisions should be made by bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. I think those decisions should be made as close to the child as possible, preferably by the child's parents. I think it is immoral that in Nevada, only wealthy children can opt out of the schools. Only wealthy children have the option of going to a private school or some other school option. I want to give every child, regardless of their income level, the opportunity to opt out of our failing schools and choose whichever school is best for them. That might be public, but it could be private or co-op or charter or magnet schools or homeschooling. And just like Brandon said, the money ought to follow the child, and we ought to give every child the option of getting out of these failing schools.
Wow. Well, one of our discussion yesterday that become heated was they, when you talk about chains, they want to divide, subdivide all the schools in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what is that called? They call it they want to separate schools in Nevada so that
they want to break up the districts.
Break up the district. What is your opinion about that?
Well, that would not be a national issue. That would be something that would be solved at the local level. And I would advocate to keep the federal government out of those decisions. That should be made by the local level, starting at the state and local level.
Absolutely, yeah, and I said it moments ago, but I'm heavily in favor of breaking apart the Clark County School District for sure.
Do you think that will change? That will kind of fix the problem?
I think it's a step in the right direction, absolutely. And I know that there's going to be, there's an organization that has something they're putting forward that will be voted on in the legislative session next year to allow cities to opt out of the school district, which I think is another step. So it's all these, there's not going to be one big solution that's going to fix everything. And I think it's taking a brick out little by little and breaking apart the district, allowing cities to opt out, creating voucher programs. These are all little things that are going to allow us to make a better situation based off of more competition, right? The idea of capitalism in itself is that the more opportunity and competition in a market, the better everyone is. We've seen that, for decades. So, that's what's going to fix this is more competition and more choice.
Well, I am always up for change, but on my own opinion, by separating all these districts, in my opinion, it won't change anything. I think we should actually go for the main root of the problem first before we try to separate the districts. That's my opinion.
Actually, if you give vouchers, if you give parents the option of choosing which school is best for their child, it really makes the districts irrelevant. Because instead of having bureaucrats in charge of education, you have parents in charge of education. So this idea,
and they know better.
The idea of choice and competition, as Brandon, I agree, Brandon, it solves the problems. That is the first step in solving the problems. Is giving parents their inalienable right to make decisions about their child's education.
Well, the reason why I disagree, first reason that I disagree is just kind of like separating. I'm gonna say this because I have a freedom of speech, right? But it's separating all the districts actually gives the opportunity of the rich to get more funds and give less opportunity for the smaller people like us.
Well, once again, vouchers and choice erases that disadvantage. Every child gets the same amount. Every child can then pick which school they go to, and every child can decide they want to go to private school. Here in Las Vegas, there are some excellent private schools, but for the most part,
the magnet school too are
there's
really
some
good.
very good magnet schools, but for the most part, it's families in the upper income levels can afford to go there, but some of the private schools charge a tuition that is lower than what Clark County School District pays per pupil. So if you were to take the $10,000 that Clark County spends per pupil and give it to that parent, they could afford to then send their child to a better school.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the beauty of
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. We have a question right there.
Isn't some of the issue with that that you have a poor family, sure they have the voucher, but then maybe the school that they want to send their kid to is in Henderson, right?
yeah.
So then the issue becomes the fact that poor family doesn't have the ability to actually transition because they can't.
Yeah, so transportation is an issue, but it is not an issue that can't be solved. We have the Regional Transportation Commission. They operate buses throughout the valley. We have fleets of hundreds of school buses in the system already. If we got the RTC and our school district busing system working together, we can solve this problem. This is not insurmountable. We can fix this.
And this goes to your what do you call that now? You can approve that in your position, right?
No, Congress should stay out of this. This should be a state and local decision.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, let's vote for you.
Yes. Let's do that, yeah.
Well, anyways, guys, I love this conversation. Thank you so much for being with us. But we're going to go in a quick break because I'm going to fix some behind the camera. And we will be right back. Please stay tuned for more conversation with Brandon and Mark. Welcome to Social Media Shows. Have you been watching social media shows recently? Of course you have. We have been live streaming for 4 years across social media platforms. We produce over 70 shows with over 1,000 episodes. In the process, we've helped over 100 creators realize their dreams and start their own show. We give platforms to promote your business. If you are an artist, if you have an event, if you are entrepreneurs, or if you have a story. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on major social media platforms. And if you have a great idea of a show, join us. Social media shows can help you produce and live stream your own show. Let us help you make your dream become a reality.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Las Vegas, and we are here in Las Vegas. The view of Las Vegas is amazing here in Las Vegas. We have a really good what do you call a temperature today, right? Do you like the?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's why we live here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't sweat.
We get a couple of small periods of time, in the first quarter of the year, and then about now, right, where you get maybe 20 to 30 days where it's just beautiful, amazing, and then it changes from there. So yeah.
Is that the reason why you move here?
One of the reasons, absolutely. Yeah, one of the reasons.
And Brandon, this is a kind of like a personal question because when I research you, although you gave me your bio, I still research people.
Sure.
Yeah, I stalk people. I see this Brandon Davis, who is a singer. That's not you, right?
I am a singer, yeah.
So that was you. I was like, that's him.
Yeah. No, I'm an artist, musician, singer, guitar player, playing a rock band. We've toured all over the country, and we play here in Las Vegas as well, and we're pretty well known, which is cool.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's him. I'm like kind of comparing your picture, and I'm like, yeah, that's him. But you never mentioned that you're a singer, so now I know.
Now we know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now I know. So you are in the center of entertainment around the world.
Yeah.
You're a singer, and now you are running for governor.
Mm-hmm.
What I believe the least paid worker here in Las Vegas are entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do about that?
Yeah, I think more competition. I mean, I'll keep coming back to it. The more competition there is, the more the government gets out of the way of these businesses, the more opportunity for these businesses, to be able to create more opportunity. And if there's more options for entertainers to be able to go to, more different situations, then it's harder to have to be stuck in a particular production or stuck at a particular property because, you can't go anywhere else. So I just got to take whatever they pay me. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. Oh, you have a question?
So would you be for repealing some of the entertainment taxes then that are out there? You know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's several taxes that, should I be elected, that we'll start the process of looking at how to get rid of those. The commerce tax is a perfect example of that. That's the 2015 tax that was the largest tax increase in state history, passed by Republicans. No offense.
No, yeah.
And so that's. But yes, I think there's multiple taxes that need to go.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go get into the more serious question.
Sure.
So I'm gonna talk about legalization of marijuana.
Got it.
Yeah, where are you into this?
So right now the situation is that there's a lot of confusion because at the federal level, marijuana is still an illegal drug, but many states in the nation have legalized marijuana. And so it needs to be resolved because it's causing confusion and difficulty for businesses that operate legally in the state, but illegally nationally. And so it's difficult for them to have banking relationships because banks are federally chartered at a national level. So it's an issue that needs to be resolved, specifically for the business owners that are involved in this. I've not yet made a decision on what I would support at the federal level. I see the advantage of decriminalizing it so that businesses have some clarity on the topic. But I also see some of the social issues in Denver, for example. Colorado was one of the early states to legalize it, and it appears that it's created some social issues there with homelessness and it as a gateway drug. But I don't know enough about the issue yet to have to know what position I would take.
Well, what would you think that once we legalize marijuana nationally, we're gonna start legalizing cocaine?
Right, and there are groups that lobby for that too, to lobby to go beyond marijuana.
Wow.
Now, generally speaking, I believe the federal government should stay out of it, and most issues should be settled by the states and by the people. And so that side of me, the side that says we should have a limited federal government, would say the federal government shouldn't have a role in this. But again, I want to look at the ramifications of that before I could take a firm position on it.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
What in balance with the federal, how would the state take care of this legalization of marijuana?
Yeah, no, I'm very fortunate to have been here and been a strong advocate for legalization of cannabis here in the state of Nevada. I think that's one of the amazing liberties that we have and one of the great rights that we have here in the state. But as far as the federal side of it, I think it should be decriminalized yesterday. I mean, we've seen the war on drugs be a complete failure. It's caused more financial burden and more social problems than it has good. So I'm a big advocate for that, and I'm actually the only governor candidate here in the state of Nevada that's for, and it would push for decriminalization of all drugs here in the state of Nevada.
Wow. Then we should vote for Brandon.
Well, and it's one of those things that we've seen in Portugal, a great example of what happens. We've seen the social issues decrease. Oregon is a perfect example more recently here, is one of our state neighbors that has done that, and we've seen some very, very positive data from that. At the end of the day, the black market creates bad actors, right? And if you reduce that, suddenly we don't have as much traffic, and we don't have as much issues coming into our country. So if you remove that, I think you remove a lot of the problems that we have. You get people out of prison.
Root.
Yeah, that's the root. That's the root. And we still have people incarcerated, regardless of what our president recently just did. We still have people in prison for these nonviolent crimes of possessing an ounce of cannabis or these other drugs. So I want to get people out of cages and back home with their families and become productive members of society. And I think that's way more important than the bureaucracy of it.
Wow. Well, having the cannabis business in Vegas actually gives a little bit, or maybe more of the economic. We gain more business, more jobs. but it doesn't mean that it solves a lot of problems.
Right.
And I was gonna talk about the economic. There you go. What do you guys think the Fed, this is for you, is doing in the fight against inflation?
Yeah, we've seen inflation run rampant throughout the country, and in Las Vegas, it's worse than the rest of the country. The rest of the country is
Yeah.
around 8.5% inflation, and we're running close to 16% inflation
Yes.
in Las
Oh my
Vegas.
gosh.
Yeah, and it is hurting families in my district. It's hurting families in Southern Nevada. Especially the low income or those on a fixed income, they're having a difficult time because they have to decide between buying gas or groceries, and so it's really having a very bad effect on Nevada families. And it all started with excess government spending. The federal government has been printing, borrowing, and spending trillions of dollars that we don't have. They're just printing the money, and when you do that, it leads to inflation. Any first-year business student will tell you if you have high demand, artificial demand created by all of this government spending, and that government spending is at every level, the national, the state, and the local
Yep.
level, that's going to raise prices on everything. And it's going to, when you print money, it lowers the value of your money, and so the dollar doesn't buy as much as it's done before. So to solve that problem, we've got to stop the
Spending.
government spending, right?
Yeah, that's
Right?
what me and Russell. Stop spending.
Yeah, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
You gotta stop spending, and we also need to encourage people to get back to work. When we shut down our factories and stores, that sent a lot of people home, and we didn't produce the goods that we need, and it disrupted our supply chain. And so we need to stop paying people not to work. We need to give people.
Well, that's what
incentive
one
to
of
back to work.
social media shows is trying to do is where I'm trying to get funding so that I can give more work to people.
Great.
Yeah, that's one of my goal right now, and I hope we can get through this. We are working with different organizations. So yeah. So in the state level, how about the inflation? Here in Las Vegas, he just mentioned that we have 16%, way more than any other states. How we, in the state level, how are we gonna, tackle this problem?
Yeah, well, currently they're not, and that's a big issue. And there's not, there's, obviously he's right. The spending is what is causing the inflation. On the state level, I mean, there's some things that we could do, and we've seen other states do, like a gas tax holiday to get some relief to people in the state. Well, we can't do that because our legislature has implemented a statute that even if we, were to decrease that, there's a mechanism that puts it right back up to where the federal level is. So we can't even, offer, gas tax relief to our residents. That's one thing that I would.
That goes to the federal? Gas
It
tax
goes.
really?
It goes back up to the rate. So basically, it's a mechanism that doesn't allow us to, offer any kind of gas tax holidays to our residents, which is an atrocity and something I'm heavily in favor of getting rid of at the end of the day. But
Just
again,
stop driving.
yeah, and I think another big thing that I'm talking about is, again, repealing taxes, existing taxes, and finding ways to decrease spending. Right? When we decrease spending, we can, and repeal taxes, we can get more money back to Nevadans. It's their money. It's their hard-earned money, right?
Yeah.
And right now it's being wasted. And so, I will, if elected, be running a full audit of current spending and, working with the controller and the treasurer and everybody.
Hire me too.
Yeah, absolutely. To find out where we can shore up some of that money and get it back to Nevadans because they're hurting right now.
Yeah.
Marie, you mentioned that stop driving. But that's not an option for most working class people, right? And they're having to make a decision: do I drive or do I eat? And we shouldn't have that situation. This entire crisis, inflation crisis, was all created by the government. And we've got to, as Brandon said more than once, we've got to get the government out of our lives and allow people to make their own decisions.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that this guy is actually like taking the responsibility instead of putting the responsibility to the people. That is amazing.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, you know what? This is a really good conversation, but you actually bring up a good point about spending. What is your position on the $20,000 giving away to student loans forgiveness?
So I'm against it. I think when somebody signs a
I
document.
have so many. Come on.
When somebody signs a document that says that they promise to pay the money back, I think they ought to do that. And what you have is you have plumbers and construction workers and blue collar workers who never went to college. They're going to have to pay back the loans of these people who did go to college and who are making, a couple could make up to $250,000 a year, and a plumber's paying off their student loan. Don't be fooled that this is just wiped out. It's not wiped out. It's still a debt. It's still on the U.S. government still has. It's owed that money.
It's actually a raise from the student, but not.
That's right. The debt is still there, and it'll be the people who didn't go to college that are going to have to pay off that debt, and that's just not fair.
How about you, Brandon?
I agree.
Do you have any student loan?
I paid mine. I remember, not only student loans, having to get those when I went to college, but I remember in my dorm room, my first week in college, going and checking my mailbox, and I had about 8 different credit cards sitting there. I had just turned 18, right? So let's talk about predatory lending, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of a root of the issue with this situation, is that it's government-caused problem through predatory lending, in allowing these banks and allowing these institutions to provide these loans. And now they want to bail them out, and I just don't get it. But I paid mine off, and I know that it's very tough for some people to pay theirs off. But I don't think the government should be in the business of picking winners and losers, and that's what we're doing right now. Is we're saying you're cool, but you're not. And I think that's atrocious. It's awful, and I think that we need to look at the root of the issue, and again, it's the predatory lending that we need to fix, and the costs that these universities charge, right?
Yeah.
To be able to go.
It's becoming...
Why is there no caps on that? We're
Yeah.
talking about caps on free markets and businesses of what they could charge.
Yeah.
But a university can charge whatever they want.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I agree with you guys about the loans, the student loans. But although I'm kind of like torn between the decision, because I have student loans. You know what I mean? The only thing that I agreed to this student loans forgiveness is because I think, in my opinion, that this kind of help our economy. Why? It's because now, if the student loans goes away, now these people who have student loans have enough money to actually give back to our government, to our economy. Mm-hmm. The only credit that cannot go away is student loans. And I wanna actually go back to Russell about this, because we have discussion about the student loans forgiveness before.
So I guess my question to you guys would be, I get the idea that you don't want student loan forgiveness, but my question would be like, how would you feel about the idea of letting you be able to bankrupt, right? Student loans are the only loan that you can't file bankruptcy on. And sure, you've got a plumber that starts a business and takes on debt and can't pay that off. But on the other side of that, if his business fails, he can file bankruptcy on it. If you go to school and you get a degree and there's no jobs for that degree, that's a failed business. Mm-hmm. How is that not a failed business? Why can't I bankrupt that? Mm-hmm. Right? Why can't I go like, okay, that didn't work? Right?
All right. Before they answer that question, let's go on a quick break.
Retired Colonel Mark Robertson spent 30 years in the U.S. military. Congress, it wasn't even on his mind. But Colonel Robertson never expected our country to be so off course. This recipient of the Legion of Merit and Bronze Star for his leadership in combat zones has one more mission: to rescue our economy, lower gas prices hurting Nevadans, and make grocery shopping affordable again.
I'm Mark Robertson, and I approve this message.
To support freedom while limiting your choice is simply a fraud. I'm Brandon Davis, candidate for governor of Nevada in 2022. I've always said that freedom requires choice. If you don't have a choice, you don't have freedom. I am the only Nevada governor candidate in 2022 that supports true choice, and here's why. The incumbent Steve Sisolak in 2020 took away the choice of hundreds of thousands of businesses to operate and employees to work. He also took away the choice of parents to send their children to school.
All of Nevada's K-12 schools will close for students starting tomorrow.
He has vocally come out against open primaries and ranked choice voting, both of which gives more choice to voters in our state. Even his political party, the Democratic Party, works to block advancements in school choice and health freedom while claiming to be about a woman's right to choose, or whatever trendy thing they decide to get behind of the day. My other opponent, Joe Lombardo, was happy to remove his Las Vegas Metro police officers' right to choose and health freedom. He's vocally stated he would have locked down the state just as Sisolak did.
Would you have shut down businesses?
Yeah.
As a conservative Republican, it is almost guaranteed that reproductive rights, gay marriage, and many other ways Nevadans have a choice will be in question should he get elected. Make no mistake, these two candidates are the same. They're more interested in control and manipulation than freedom, choice, and allowing you to live the way that you choose. The truth is, I'm the only candidate who supports choice all of the time. Your right to choose what you do with your body, who you marry, how you operate your business, and your child's education are things that I'm fighting for. Even my campaign running as a libertarian third-party option is an example of my dedication to choice as we fight the two-party duopoly to provide more choice for Nevada voters.
Outside of the broken two-party duopoly system.
Choice of one thing, but not the other, is just pandering, period. True freedom requires choice. And if we're to continue working to make Nevada the freest state in the United States, it's going to take true leadership at the top who understands what true choice is. Be bold in 2022 and choose a new path forward. Vote for choice.
Hey, welcome back to Rise and Shine Las Vegas. Oh my gosh, I think my most favorite topic is about these student loans. It's because I brought my son to college. I actually sent him to college. I think he had student loans, but it has been forgiven with Le Cordon Bleu, right? Le Cordon Bleu.
But that was a lawsuit that got that.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they started making us a business. You're right. A lot of schools actually. But anyways, and then my daughter is in the University of Nevada right now, and I don't know how she is running her own financial system. She's very smart. She's smart like me, by the way. And I don't know how much loans that she has right now because I cannot afford it, right? But I know she's gonna be able to pay it without the student loans. She's like, Mom, I don't need the student loans. I don't need you to take care of my student loans. That's what she told me. But anyways, so let's get back to Russell's question.
Yeah, so my question was basically how do you guys feel about the idea of being able to at least put them under bankruptcy?
So I understand the question, Russ, and it's should you be able to discharge your student loan in bankruptcy? But it really doesn't solve the underlying issue. You mentioned that if a business fails, they can file for bankruptcy. Well, if there's a university or a college or an education institution out there that is issuing degrees, and those degrees are worthless because people can't get a job, they can't get a job that pays sufficient to pay off their student loans, then maybe those universities and colleges and educational institutions should not be authorized to give student loans. That's the root of the problem. The root of the problem is you have these very expensive universities charging outlandish tuition charges, and then the student is stuck with them. We need to fix the root. And you don't fix the root by canceling the debt or allowing people to take care of with bankruptcy. You fix it by fixing the core problem, which is those institutions.
Brandon?
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm always about going at the root cause of the situation, which is what we both have talked about. Yeah, I mean, as far as allowing for bankruptcy, again, what that looks like, as long as it doesn't come back on the taxpayers, I'm for it, but again, like you said, it doesn't fix the cause and the root, but obviously the people that are hurting now. And it's so interesting because you've got these colleges, the Southern, Idaho, College of the whatever, name some long name that's just created. And I've known people that have went to these online, smaller type of universities and gotten a marketing degree or a business degree, and that they can't get a job, and they're $30,000 in debt, and it's an interesting thing. So I think again, talking about the root is the education, right, side of things, the financial impact side of things. I think that there's a lot of ways that we should be teaching our kids coming into college about the importance of knowing what you're getting into, knowing what this is, and then just not allowing predatory lenders to prey on these kids.
You know, there are universities out there who have hundreds of billions of dollars in their endowments, and those endowments earn interest every year. Maybe those universities, if their students aren't able to earn enough money to pay off their loans, maybe it's the university that created all that debt should pay off those loans from their endowments. And those endowments, by the way, are tax-free. They're not paying any taxes on the money that's growing in those endowments. Maybe those endowments are the source of paying off their students' loans, that because their students can't earn enough to pay off their own loans.
Wow, yeah, I agree with that. Well, this comes into my next question. I also have a discussion with Russell about this. We hire people, with special skills, people from other countries to come to the United States to practice their skills here. Because they went to whatever country they're from, went to technical schools out there, and then they come over here, get paid with the money that we should be getting paid if we have all the right people with the right skills.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking was, like, why don't we actually, like what you said, these schools create those they already have those education. Why don't they pay those people who would be able to get those skills and hire our own people? Am I making this clear?
I'm not
Not
sure
really.
what you're asking.
Remember what I was.
So
I was
she's
telling-
talking about the idea of import-export of labor, right? Like the idea that I can, we saw this in the early 2000s where, companies were laying off American engineers and they were going to South Korea and hiring whole teams of engineers for what cost it was. She really wants to know how, like, you balance the import-export of labor. Why is there no tariff on that labor exchange between those countries? That sort of thing.
Okay, I think I understand. By the way, I am pro-immigration. I think we ought to allow people with the skills that we need in this country to come into our country legally. But we've got to stop all of the illegal immigration that's coming across our border. It's the illegal immigration that is hurting our lowest paid employees because they keep the wages down for those low, unskilled positions.
Yep.
So I'm in favor of immigration, but we, the American people, ought to decide who comes into our country. It shouldn't just be who's able to cross the border illegally. And we have 3.5 million unfilled jobs right now in America. And I talk to small business owners, they're concerned about inflation, but their number one concern is not finding enough people who can work. And so I'm in favor of the idea of guest workers. We hire a lot of medical workers from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Because we have a medical worker shortage in this country.
Why don't we actually train or give education to people in the United States so we don't need to, I'm not against.
So we do, but it's an individual decision. I mean, it's a decision. The government shouldn't be forcing people to go take classes. It's an individual decision.
Or maybe they don't have enough money to actually get to go to school.
Yeah, but there are programs that'll help funding for medical workers who will work in the public sector. My daughter-in-law will graduate from Toro University in 10 days, and she'll be a physician assistant.
Awesome.
And she'll work in the medical field. And so we do have medical programs out there, but we need individuals to make those decisions to get into the field.
And getting a medical degree is very expensive. How many doctors we have in the United States?
There's about 1 million doctors, actual doctors.
So but you're looking about seeing about 600 to 900 patients a year based on how many times they go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So we are shortage with all of those things.
Yeah, Southern Nevada has a real shortage of medical professionals, doctors, nurses, lab techs, all of them. There's a critical shortage in Southern Nevada.
Do you think some of that has to do with the barrier to entry for that? If you're going to be just a doctor, you're 12 years, right, between pre-med, med, and then doing your internship and things of that nature. It is a long process to train a doctor, right? Do you guys think that there's something in, like, those areas, those fields that, like, the government can do to help, like, assist in, like, either reducing the barrier to that training or?
100%. Yeah. I mean, right now we see that there's not reciprocity. So if somebody wants to come from Tennessee or from other states and come to Nevada and be able to work, they have to go through the licensing process again. So one of the biggest things that I've been talking about in our campaign is just occupational licensing reform to make it easier for
the transfer.
For the transfer and increasing reciprocity. There's 32 states in the United States right now that offer reciprocity, right? And Nevada's not one of them. So I think that there's so many things that we could be doing to make it easier for nurses to get here, right? Because Nevada's an amazing place to live, and if we could say, hey, person in Louisiana or Illinois or New York or wherever it is, come work here and enjoy the fruits, the weather and everything, and you don't have to go through the licensing process again. I think that's a huge advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should actually give more lenient to those skilled workers. You know what I mean? Transferring wherever. What do you think about that?
I agree. I mean, what Brandon's talking about, and the common theme of this interview has been getting government out of our lives and getting government out of the way. And that's his solution, is get government out of the way. It's the government regulation that's causing these problems.
Well, let's go and get those votes.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Well,
Thanks,
anyways,
Maria.
you guys are so amazing. I really had fun doing this interview. I've been doing interview for over 4 years now, and one of my favorites so far is this interview because it's very, very educational. Yeah, you guys actually I just learned a lot of things today. Not one, a lot of things.
Great.
But anyways, guys, Brandon, where they can find you?
They can find me at electbrandondavis.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Just do a Google search, Brandon Davis, Nevada Governor. You're going to find
and you'll see the music.
Yeah, and find some of the music if you like rock and roll.
How about?
And Robertsonforcongress.com. Robertson, the word for Congress.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. And, good luck to both of you guys. And I will be, I am promising this. I don't promise much, but I'm promising this. I am actually sharing your posters around social media and my site. So please go ahead and vote on November 8th. Actually, early voting starts on Saturday, right?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And go to your... They can only go to the location to vote, correct?
Any location they want, or they have mail-in ballots.
Oh, yes,
Either way.
the mailing ballots. I didn't receive mine. I need to go, actually. You know what? I never experienced to go on a location, so I'm going to go this time. And yes, you guys got my votes. If I can vote for you in my district, I would. But anyways, thank you so much for all the viewers out there. I hope you guys learned something new about our candidates and about every problems and issues that we have in our country, and hope you guys are the same, have common goal as us to fix all those problems. And we will see you guys again tomorrow. We're gonna have another guest tomorrow on Rise and Shine Las Vegas. You guys have a wonderful day.
Retired Colonel Mark Robertson spent 30 years in the U.S. military. Congress, it wasn't even on his mind. But Colonel Robertson never expected our country to be so off course. This recipient of the Legion of Merit and Bronze Star for his leadership in combat zones has one more mission: to rescue our economy, lower gas prices hurting Nevadans, and make grocery shopping affordable again.
I'm Mark Robertson, and I approve this message.
To support freedom while limiting your choice is simply a fraud. I'm Brandon Davis, candidate for governor of Nevada in 2022. I've always said that freedom requires choice. If you don't have a choice, you don't have freedom. I am the only Nevada governor candidate in 2022 that supports true choice, and here's why. The incumbent Steve Sisolak in 2020 took away the choice of hundreds of thousands of businesses to operate and employees to work. He also took away the choice of parents to send their children to school.
All of Nevada's K-12 schools will close for students starting tomorrow.
He has vocally come out against open primaries and ranked choice voting, both of which gives more choice to voters in our state. Even his political party, the Democratic Party, works to block advancements in school choice and health freedom while claiming to be about a woman's right to choose, or whatever trendy thing they decide to get behind of the day. My other opponent, Joe Lombardo, was happy to remove his Las Vegas Metro police officers' right to choose and health freedom. He's vocally stated he would have locked down the state just as Sisolak did.
Would you have shut down businesses?
Yeah. As a conservative Republican, it is almost guaranteed that reproductive rights, gay marriage, and many other ways Nevadans have a choice will be in question should he get elected. Make no mistake, these two candidates are the same. They're more interested in control and manipulation than freedom, choice, and allowing you to live the way that you choose. The truth is, I'm the only candidate who supports choice all of the time. Your right to choose what you do with your body, who you marry, how you operate your business, and your child's education are things that I'm fighting for. Even my campaign running as a libertarian third-party option is an example of my dedication to choice as we fight the two-party duopoly to provide more choice for Nevada voters.
Outside of the broken two-party duopoly system.
Choice of one thing, but not the other, is just pandering, period. True freedom requires choice. And if we're to continue working to make Nevada the freest state in the United States, it's going to take true leadership at the top who understands what true choice is. Be bold in 2022 and choose a new path forward. Vote for choice.
Welcome to social media shows. Have you been watching social media shows recently? Of course you have. We have been live streaming for 4 years across social media platforms. We produce over 70 shows with over 1,000 episodes. In the process, we've helped over 100 creators realize their dreams and start their own show. We give platforms to promote your business. If you are an artist, if you have an event, if you are entrepreneurs, or if you have a story. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on major social media platforms. And if you have a great idea of a show, join us. Social media shows can help you produce and live stream your own show. Let us help you make your dream become a reality.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.